Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 3, episode 51, titled Botched NHL Draft Lottery. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Beer Baron and Scotty from SiriusXM Liquid Metal.
Come on. And thank you. Want my proper introduction there. Jeez.
And Short Sky will be beamed in from somewhere in Wildwood, New Jersey at some point.
Back machine.
Sam forgot we were doing a podcast there for a second. He just kind of stopped, just like, what's going on? What am I doing? Am I in the Cayman Islands? What's going on? Yeah.
Are you guys hearing feedback or some kind of weird sounds in your ear? That's what's distracting. Like, I don't know, Beer Baron, were you like doing a drum roll or something like that, right? Yeah, because I was like hearing things, and I'm like, wait a second, I don't have a drum roll. So, but we're in the Primetime Radio virtual studio, all powered by Nova Product Design. Great podcast last Friday, guys. It was a 2-hour, powwow.
Extravaganza.
Extravaganza. I'm going to call it extravaganza on that one. That's how big it was.
We had a lot of Zoomers calling in at 450-970-7957. The meeting room is open. We'll get to it whenever we feel like it.
We have the power now.
We'll take some calls, like midway point in the show. We'll take some calls, huh? Does that sound like a good idea?
That sounds like a great idea.
And I know we covered a lot on Friday. I know we talked kind of in depth about what we felt about the whole draft lottery process. But we could definitely touch on that again. And if I'm sure there's people that didn't get a chance to get in with the Zoom call that would like to express their feelings. But remember, this is a family-friendly show. So when you come on, keep it nice.
Yeah, don't be that.
And go to where you have good internet reception.
Yes.
Yeah, don't sit in the dark. Then we can't see you, and
like Chris from Woodbridge.
That's all good, man. It's all good.
That's all good. Well, we're learning. We're
all learning. We're learning.
So I still got a lot of things to say about this botched NHL draft. I wasn't able to express my grievances last Friday.
You're busy doing some producing, huh?
Yeah. I was chatting.
Damn, whoa.
Number one,
the infamous.
It's not that difficult. Like I want to tell the NHL offices, you could have just made it. The top 3 picks are guaranteed by the 7 that didn't make this round robin tournament.
Agreed.
It just doesn't make sense. When I see the New York Rangers 12.5% would be able to get that first overall pick, or the Pittsburgh Penguins, you know what this means? Go ahead, Beer Baron.
No, I was going to say, oddly enough, they have better odds than the teams that finished 4th, 6th.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Yeah,
and let me also point out something that's now really pissing me off as a Devils fan right now.
Pissing me off. About it, Sam Wu. Tell me about it.
This just tells you the last game of the season against Pittsburgh, with the Devils lost after having a good run, Mackenzie Blackwood. That loss is a bigger loss now because of this stupid, complicated NHL lottery system. Because I'll tell you the reason why. Had they won that game, they would have better odds right now of getting that first overall pick and being in that 2014 tournament.
Which is,
doesn't make sense.
First of all, my buddy Kevin, who's watching, Kevin, go cram it with walnuts, ugly. All right. So I have to tell you, we're not being jealous. What it is it doesn't make sense. I don't care if the Devils were in this. I mean, obviously we might not be barking at the microphones as much if the Devils were on the flip side of this. It's just common, but be realistic. I don't care what team you root for. Be realistic. The fact that a team that is going to get a chance to play in the playoff 24 game, whatever, or 24 team system right now has better odds than a team that finished towards the bottom of the league. That doesn't that completely like null and void the point of the lottery system? That doesn't make any sense. Why give them a better chance of winning the lottery than a team that had a terrible year? Like it does. None of this makes sense to me. You're rewarding. I don't know, man. I know you don't want teams to tank and stuff like that, but now you're actually setting yourself up to have teams tank in this 24 team tournament. I'm just saying.
I
think Sam got it right with the title. Like one of my favorite old mathcore bands from back in the late 90s, Botch, from out in the old West Coast Pacific Northwest. I mean, this is just botched. How not every higher seeded team is going to win. There's going to be an upset, at least one. So you do run this opportunity of a team like the Penguins or the Oilers, or any team like that that's near the top that, was fighting for those playoff positions, now have the opportunity to get a generational player if they lose. Like,
so stupid.
Man, like
I'll tell you what.
I mean, just think of this. Like they've been off for a while now. This is basically like an off season that they've had.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen this? Not in hockey, in every sport imaginable, a awesome team that is going to be good starts out the season a little slow. Oh, we had a little slow start. We didn't get it together. So you got a team, in the upper echelon here that can have just like a slow start for a couple games and poof, they're eliminated. And now all of a sudden they're in this lottery draw for the top pick overall with like I said, a generational player. A generational player. Why did they just do that? Like Sam said, the top 3 have to be guaranteed to like one of those first lottery teams. Can't go higher than 4, and I'm all for it. All for it.
Yeah, dude. And imagine, Sam, we're upset about this not only because we're Devils fans and if we would have gotten the first overall pick, that would have been great. But being bumped from 6 to 7, that makes a huge difference. And what people don't understand is like that one spot can make a difference in a player that you get. You could be missing out on a Rossi or a a kid that you really had up on your draft board thinking that you were going to be drafting in that 4, 5, 6 area. So now they get bumped down one, right? So that's annoying. But imagine being a Senators fan. And this is one thing that you didn't get a chance to say this either on Friday, but put yourself in those shoes. Like, what would you be saying if we were in the Senators' shoes and we had that 2-3 and that 2-3 turned into a 3-5?
Did you watch the Did you watch the actual draft lottery too, where the woman from Ottawa? No. They had all like frontline workers from the different team areas like on there, and the lady, she was so sweet. She's like, "Oh, Alex is a good Canadian boy.
That.
Wouldn't it be something to him come home to
and she was so excited.
And it's
they had a 25% chance of winning that first overall pick too. 25% chance. 25.
Yeah, now every Canadians fan is just like, suck it, He's
going to go to a Canadian team that matters.
Well, in our previous podcast, guys, we were talking about how complicated the formula was, and then all of us were kind of like, we'll figure it out once we get there, right? And you know what? Even back about a month ago, I was like, I don't have a good feeling about this, like deep down inside, because it was so complex and I couldn't even understand it. And we're hockey fans.
Sounds like a power ballad.
I don't even
feeling about this deep down inside.
Something's gonna go wrong tonight.
Something's gonna go wrong tonight.
Gary Bettman needs to get booed tonight. But
so Michael in the Facebook group just said, sorry to cut you off, Sam, but he just said, let the commissioner drop the puck at the Detroit-Ottawa home opener.
Oh, man.
Dude. Sorry, go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
No, by the way, Jalen is now watching in the Facebook Live group.
What's up, Jalen?
Pretty cool. Cool guy. Cool dude. More than welcome to watch and be part of this program. But yeah, and you know what? I'm actually not over it. I feel sorry for the Ottawa Senator fans. I feel sorry for the teams. Okay, it's like, okay, you guys didn't come to the round robin, you bunch of rejects, and then you pull this stunt off. And then the conspiracy theories about TV ratings, because now there's going to be another drawing, right? So Gary Bettman used to have a show on XM Satellite Radio, and it was once a week, and I actually got to see, kind of got to see the personal side of Gary Bettman. Like, at first I thought he was, but first I thought he was kind of a loser, but then he seemed pretty cool. But the one thing he used to gripe about on that show was fan conspiracy theories. When you pull this kind of stupidity, what do you expect? It just looks so bad.
Yeah, it looks staged with the little cards flipping over. Someone put them in order. That's not. It give me a break. Like, show me where they're actually like pulling the balls out of the machine. That's what I want to see.
So last year, you could bring up a good point. Last year, they actually did a behind the scenes where they showed it, the whole process, right? And then they had a list. And it's still like, looking at it, it still kind of made sense, but didn't really make sense, like how they generate all the numbers and stuff. But anyways, when they did all the numbers, the Devils came up, and then they came up again. And let's not forget that last year, even though we did get the number 1 overall pick, it was leaked on Twitter like an hour before the actual draft lottery happened. So, like, they can't get their stuff together. And seriously, like, it was cool because I went on Twitter and I was like, oh my God, if this is true, this is amazing. But it also sucks that the Rangers got the number 2. And then it ended up being true. But I mean, like, the whole thing that I think pisses me off about this entire process the most is what they should have done. It's almost unfair to these 7 teams that are not going to have a chance to play hockey for the next 9+ months. From March to possibly even January. They could almost go a full calendar year without playing a single game, let alone an exhibition. Like, they should have had like a miniature tour. They could have cashed in so big if they would have done this, if they would have said, all right, we're going to reopen the season, we're going to have our 24-team playoffs, and then we're going to have a 7-team tournament, and then the team that had the highest win percentage gets the first round bye, because obviously you can't do it with 7. So you would figure it out. You have a nice little tournament, a little round robin between these 7 teams, single team elimination. So it's like one and done. So it goes through pretty quick. And then that way you determine who sits 1 through 7. You ditch the draft lottery for a year until things go back to normal, and you just make it more entertaining. And guess what, dude? The winner of that tournament gets the number 1 overall pick. End of story. You don't think a team would go out there and try their asses off instead of tanking? Because guess what you're doing now? I said this before. You're setting the league up for a team that's going to tank this 24 team. 24 team. Your 24 team.
Listen, information was never our strong point. Okay, we got it.
My brain is like mush. It's like oatmeal up here. Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But point being is like they should have sat down and thought this out, or at least like done better research on it, because it was done so poorly.
It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. They could have said, okay, top 17 or the top 7 teams, the 7 teams that did not make it.
What's up, Matt?
One of them is guaranteed the top. I don't know. I'm just.
You got people saying what's up. I'm saying what's up.
But it's just,
Sam's getting too frustrated.
Why do they have to make it so effing complicated?
And that's the thing. Well, I understand.
It didn't have to be.
But I understand the sense of like, you can't bring everybody back because of the pandemic. And like, God forbid you brought all 31 teams back, having them playing in some kind of capacity. Somebody gets sick and everything goes down the toilet. So, I mean, maybe the logistics were way too hard, but just think outside the damn box. Like, for once, the NHL, when they did the first outdoor games, it was the best, because it was like, damn, this team, finally the NHL is thinking outside the box. They're marketing the game. And then they're like, oh, by the way, yeah, this is a great idea. Now we're going to invite the same 6 teams for the next 15 years and host it in the same stupid ass cities. It's like you get a good idea and you ruin it. Just like this was a great idea. The 24-team tournament was a great idea. Great idea. Bring the NHL back. Find a way to do this. But then you screwed these other 7 teams. Sorry, Scotty.
I love it. I love it. Preach, baby. Preach.
It just pisses me off, dude.
It's... You're exactly right. And it goes back to 2005. Remember when the lost season of 2004-5, that one season lockout. And then how do you do the draft, right? There was no television cameras, whatever. And I remember everybody's like, yeah, watch Pittsburgh get Sidney Crosby, the frozen ping pong ball. And guess what happened? When they were going through it. You know what they could have done? If they wanted TV ratings and redrafts or whatever, what they could have done was maybe, okay, we had the secret draft, and each week announce, like, who is number 10, number 9, to lead up. If they wanted to, kill some time during this pandemic, they could have done that. It's not that hard, Gary. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I kind of like Gary Bettman. I mean, the guy gets booed, and he just takes it, and he has a sense of humor. Remember when we booed him in 2013, and he's like, "Oh, you guys want to hear this one?" And we still booed him. Yeah. But
dude, I was hammered during that. Hammered.
The best was when Lou owned him, when everyone, just chanted Lou, and he's like, hey, commissioner, that's something different than what they did for you. And everyone was just like, oh, Lou, damn.
Oh.
Whose retirement was that? Was that the Marty retirement?
That was Marty's retirement, yeah.
That was Marty retirement,
that was
right?
Marty's,
oh, my God. Dude, that was so funny.
That was really funny.
Lou. He had that Rhode Island.
He said. I think he said
coming out.
I think he said. You see, they're saying Lou, not Boo. Unlike you, like he's like Dr. Seuss now.
Yeah,
and you know,
he owned him. He owned him. Uncle Lou coming back with the fire. That was awesome.
And the other thing too that I can't stand is now I'm seeing all the memes, like the what ifs, like McDavid, Draisaitl, and
Lafreniere, or however you say his name.
Now,
like I said, I don't care. He's not going to be a Devil, so I don't have to pronounce his name correctly.
I don't even care about you anymore.
I know I brought this up on,
Naga not going to work here, so.
I know I brought this up on Friday as well, but also look at a team like the Blackhawks that have these, Captain Insano contracts attached to them, and they had to get rid of so many players. A generational talent on a rookie contract is just what they need, to re-energize that franchise and be there, with Kane and company as they go through these later years of their career with the, crazy cap hits each season,
Lafreniere. Thanks, Joe. But Joe, I just said I don't care if he's not a devil, dude. It's Lafreniere. It's Lafreniere. Whatever.
I don't care.
It's live. It's live, baby. It's live.
And if he's on the Rangers or any of these other he's going to get
don't you
booed.
Put that voodoo on me.
I remember when Sidney Crosby used to get booed like right off the bat in every single seat, but everybody liked Ovechkin that same year,
Well,
so
because Ovechkin went out and hit people and stuff like that.
Yeah,
everyone always thought Sidney was diving everywhere. So
whiner,
well, because he
remember the whiner.
Yeah, so that's why Ovechkin would go out and knock you down on the old backside there.
See, that's the one thing that I've always respected about Ovechkin is he will score and then he will just body the hell out of somebody. Like,
dude, that shot is just oh my god, it is just unreal. That shot that he's got, it's just such a rocket.
It's so funny because like, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Good.
No, I was just gonna say like on the power play, he sets up at the same place. Like,
oh yeah,
for his entire career, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He will score from that spot. You could have like three guys over there, and they'll be like, they're not going to pass him the puck. We better go watch one of these other dudes. And it's like, no, Nicholas Backstrom will find a way to give him the puck, and then he'll just blast it past your goaltender.
Dude, that's how good he is. He's like Mo from the Yankees. You knew he was going to throw a cutter. Here it is, coming every single time. He just couldn't hit it. Same thing, Ovechkin. I'm going to sit right here. If you want to go and dive in front of this, go for it. I wouldn't want to do that, but you could go ahead and try to do it if you want.
Hey, so Ray from the Facebook group has a question. He says, does anyone think since a team that is in the playoffs will be getting the number one pick that makes it for sale? And that's actually a really good question because I was thinking about this. Let's say that all the cards fall right. And I don't think they would do this because this is kind of stupid, but let's say that the Devils took like their 3 first-round picks, and they went to whatever team won it. Let's say Chicago.
Hang on a second, because if Arizona gets that overall pick, then we
no. I'm saying like if but I was saying if everything fell into place where the Devils got all 3 of those first-round picks, Arizona gets bumped out. They lose in the first round.
Vancouver
they don't get that first overall pick. Vancouver moves on. Blah blah blah. So we get those the first round picks, all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be enticed to package all 3 of those picks to try and get to number 1, or do you say screw it, roll the dice on the talent that we have at 7, 10, and whatever the hell it's going to be, 17, 18, whatever, blah blah blah?
I mean, it's definitely enticing, but with the depth of this draft, it might be, the 3 first-round picks might end up, being a little bit better for us in the long run. No denying
it adds a lot of depth for sure, but you could also.
Yeah, there's no denying his talent. It's unreal. He's going to boost whatever team he's go to. It's immediate NHL impact. However, I feel like, looking at this draft, you really have like 8 or 9, possibly 10 players, even more, that are going to be, impact players next year after they're drafted. So the mocks coming in still see the Devils, a couple that I saw us landing someone like Alexander Holtz, which would be really good for our team. He's an impact player. He's going to be an impact scorer. I'm kind of okay with that, and to see what else we got going on here in this first round, rather than just going with the top pick.
I gotta say something.
What?
Last Friday, when Detroit got the fourth overall, they're like, "Oh, remember Detroit? It's not so bad. Stevie Y was the 4th overall pick when he got drafted."
Yeah, we were saying that on Friday. Yeah, and the look on his face was so disappointed.
Yeah,
my team won 3 games this year. You guys, come on.
I mean,
but this draft is like a different draft, though. This is going to go down as like one of the all-time like deepest drafts ever. Everyone is comparing it already to like 03. When you had so many guys come through there, from Parise to Seabrook to Bufflin.
That 03 draft is probably one of the deepest drafts, because Burns, if you look,
Shea Weber, oh my God, dude, Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury. Go ahead.
Yeah, but no. I'm just saying, statistically, if you look at that draft, the amount of people that made it into the NHL that came out of that, not just the first round, but just that draft overall. That's the one thing that people don't like. You look at a draft and like, if you're lucky,
Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf, both in first round that year.
Yeah. Ooh. If you look at a typical NHL draft, and you look at let's say the Devils draft in all the rounds, right? So we get a pick in every single round. The average of those guys making it to the NHL is maybe 2 out of the 7. And that's just average. And I mean, somebody could go on here and be like, your numbers are wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, you're probably right. I did say my brain is like oatmeal. But I mean, like, the amount of guys that you get in the draft and that turn into NHL, like, and when I mean like NHL players, I mean like a guy that's not just in here for a cup of coffee. Like, there's guys that are drafted all the time. You could have a draft where all players that you drafted have come into the NHL for a handful of games and then have gone back to the AHL, been traded for this, traded for that, end up in Germany, whatever. Point being is, the amount of guys that you get in an NHL draft or any draft, NFL, baseball, whatever, the amount of guys that actually make it into the big show and are full-time sticking players, the percentages are not that high. So going back to what I asked you before, trading those 3 picks for Lafreniere or sticking with those 3 picks, Lafreniere, whatever his name is, Captain Frenchie. And I can say that because my last name is French. But that's my point, is do you take those 3 picks and kind of roll the dice on what you get with it? Or do you try to hit a home run and go for that sure thing? You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to trade for the number 1 overall. You could probably trade 2 of those picks, the 7-10, and flip it for maybe, I don't know, the 3, the 4. Maybe Detroit wants to move back. Maybe there's an opportunity to move up a little bit. I'm just saying. I'm just listen. Yeah. At this point, throw it anything against the wall and see what sticks.
I don't know anyone. Maybe a mystery team. I could see maybe Ottawa trade in their 3 and 5 up to the mystery team, so they could take Lafreniere and then have the mystery team then take like 2 picks. A 3 and a 5. I could see that. Being a situation.
They're way more enticing.
Though, being that we don't have any picks in the 2nd or 3rd round this year, I think it would be wise in what is known as like the deepest draft in a long time to really utilize those 3 picks that we have early on, rather than just one. That's just my personal opinion. You could debate on the other side, and I'm sure there's plenty of good, solid points as to why we should go with, more of like a guaranteed stud in Lafreniere. But I feel like again, debatable. For me, though, I would say I would keep, if we do end up with 3 picks, I would keep those 3 picks and use them in the first round.
The reason why we have some latency issue, boys, is Shorts Guy has logged in, but somehow we don't have a video feed of him, so I'm not going to get him in on.
Hey, I know we wanted to talk a little bit. Speaking of Shorts Guy, we wanted to talk a little bit about the 1995 Stanley Cup.
Well, should we
championship?
When do we want to take some Zoom calls? Do you want to take some Zoom calls about the draft first, or do you want to talk about? What do you guys? Hey, everybody on the Facebook and stuff. You want to talk about the draft first, or you want to talk about '95 team?
Let's go right into the draft. It's a hot topic.
Well, I want to talk about '95 team too, though. I got my
actually the jersey.
Got my Stefan Richer right here. Yeah,
I was gonna say the jersey that's behind me on this side is a personalized jersey with my name on the back. But this is the first Devils jersey I ever got as a gift when I was like 8 or 9. It was like a giant, like a dress when I first got it because it was way too big. And if you notice something odd about it is that the logo is like way too small because this was like in 1994 when they first changed the colors, and it's a CCM, the coolest little CCM logo up there. And then the other one is the newest throwback jersey, but I love this jersey.
I love that jersey.
I have yet to wear this because I'm like, it's like so perfect I don't want to put it on.
Oh, such a hot jersey. I love that jersey.
It's so sweet.
Looks so good.
So sweet.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the fight strap and everything. But anyways.
But you are correct. The logos used to be smaller, before they
because this was an authentic. That was the difference between an authentic and then the ones that you could buy at like Modell's was the logo was smaller because the NHL put a restriction on the size of the logo that you were able to put on a jersey that you were using for just retail sale. Little known fact.
We got Shorts Guy from Wildwood.
Hey, it's Durango Steve.
Happy Devil Sunday.
And I got Durango Steve.
What's going on?
Hey,
Nice.
What's up, boys?
how's it going?
What's going on?
Yo, so I heard the jersey argument, and it's good that they changed and made the jerseys that you can get the actual logo the normal size instead of the smaller size versus the larger size.
Yeah. This was predated. This is like from 1994. This bad boy back here.
Oh yeah. If I flip this Richer around, it's the exact same way. It's a CCM. Can't really see it. It's all kind of like worn off now, but there used to be a CCM logo right there.
Well done, because you get to wear it twice a year when the Devils come out once a year.
I used to wear this jersey nonstop. This was my
go-to.
My game jersey. I used to go snowboarding in this jersey all the time. I just put like a sweatshirt underneath it, and then I would just like wear this snowboarding all the time as well.
So let's go, Shorts Guy. Now that we have you on, we want to go way back in the Wayback Machine. We want to talk to you about Game 4 of the 1995 Stanley Cup.
I lost all sound here.
Oh, no. He lost. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Shorts Guy, can you hear me?
Technical difficulties.
Oh,
Technical
boy.
difficulties? Oh, boy.
Shorts Guy, are you?
Oh my God, Kristen. Wait, who are these?
Wow, we can eavesdrop into that conversation.
Seems like the ladies are arriving. The ladies
What hotel?
are arriving.
What hotel room are you in, Shorts Guy?
Where's the beach party?
Are you social distancing, Shorts Guy? We lost him.
I thought I heard a laugh. No?
No. We lost him. We'll get him back.
From the beaches of Wildwood, Shorts Guy. Wait.
Here he is. Here he is.
All right.
Hey, Shorts Guy.
All right.
Can you hear us?
I like somebody's holding that up in the background. Is that Durango Steve holding it up in the
That's
background?
Durango Steve. He's just like, hold it up. Get it up higher. Get it in the picture.
Oh,
Durango Steve is like the boom guy, with like he's on his tippy toes, like trying to hold it up, like. There it is.
The boom is in the picture, man.
I don't think you can hear us there, Sam.
No, you can't hear us. All right. Well,
No.
he's trying to a valiant effort through his phone.
Very good effort. Yes.
But Shorts Guy, you could try to Zoom us if you like. We're taking your Zoom calls right now. 450-970-7957. Talking 95 Stanley Cup
or draft.
The botched draft. Or the botched draft.
Can you do that number again? I love when you're in radio guy voice. Can you do it again?
Oh, okay. We're taking your Zoom calls now. 450-970-7957. You better have rich man internet and get your cameras ready.
Get those earbuds. Get the earbuds going.
All right, I'm gonna screen some callers right now.
All right,
okay, go get in the Zoom there. Get in the
Scotty,
Zoom there, kid. Hey there, buddy.
How you doing over there? So,
how you doing?
All this talk about the draft. There's a few names that you sent to us earlier today. You kind of sent over some things that I want to talk to you about. I know you've been doing a lot more kind of like in-depth research on who you think could possibly fall to New Jersey at 7. And there's two names that I came across that I based off of the Hockey Writers article that you sent over. There's Lucas Raymond and there's Marco Rossi.
We're hoping we could get Lucas Raymond.
And Cole Perfetti. So I'm going basically off of this article that you sent over. I basically picked 6, 7, 8. Right?
I thought they had us with. I thought they had us drafting Alexander Holtz.
No, this is Holtz. Holtz was number 5. This is an old one. This is before the debacle on Friday. They have Holtz going at number 5. But irregardless,
Raymond, they are shooting up the rankings, man. Like they really are. If we somehow get one of those two to fall to us, man, they would be fantastic to put on the line, with Nico or Jack, and they got to decide if Jack is going to be a winger or if he's going to be a center. Like what's going to go on with that? I'm hoping that Jack's going to come back a little bit bigger boy, doing a little growing, a little bit of the old gym. A little bit of the old kettlebell. Something there, yeah.
Eat a whole
I got my kettlebell.
Butter.
Dude, I got my kettlebell in the mail finally. I ordered it in May. There's no kettlebells or workout equipment of it. Well, everything is shut down. What am I going to do? I wanted a little kettlebell.
The other part of that question is who works out? This is why I do 16-ounce curls. That's all I do.
Well, dude, I've been drinking this. I just want to say, by the way, Nespresso, George Clooney is correct. This coffee is amazing. I got an espresso machine. I cannot stop. It's awesome.
Hey, guys.
No wonder why you're so pumped.
Oh, yeah.
Got to interrupt. I got to interrupt this conversation. I got to interrupt this conversation.
Oh, boy. Who is it?
Boy.
Who you got on here?
Is it breaking news?
No. Well, kind of. He may have breaking news.
Okay.
He's a second-time caller, Zoom caller. On the Let's Go Devils podcast, we got Jersey Joe.
Hey.
Joe, we see that you got the rich man internet today. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's the Verizon Fios internet, so that's what I was referring to last week. Nick Villano basically got most of the saying than I did last time, so I want to touch up on the draft and possibilities of moving up the first 2 picks that we have, or maybe staying pat, or maybe, keeping one if the second and thirds don't come about and they go to 2021. I want to talk strategy. So let's get to it.
Hey, Joe, let me just ask real quick. Where are you calling from in Jersey?
Ocean Grove, New Jersey. It's adjacent to Bradley Beach.
Okay.
I live there all year round.
My sister-in-law has a beach house down in Ocean Grove. It's a beautiful town. Beautiful town. That church is incredible. I'm walking to that church.
That's where you go. Where you spend all your time at the church. Yeah. Right.
No. You don't understand. Like I'm a big fan of like
that's where this guy's going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the,
hey,
go to the
Jesus,
church.
how you doing, pal?
Hey, what you doing? It's a Friday. I thought we go to church. I thought we maybe have a good time at church. pray a little.
I'm like, hey, Father, how you doing?
What are you, Pesci and Goodfellas over here? I'm not going to go to church. I don't know why, right? Well, I love that Jersey Shore area there, Joe. I can't tell you how many concerts that I saw at the Stone Pony, the convention center.
Hey, we played the Stone Pony once.
Oh, I played the Stone Pony many a times. The Fast Lane, I can't remember that other one.
The Stone Pony. The Devils as Gaslight Anthem's Howl. And who do we need to segue over into having Howl to be tuned in more at Devils games? We need a guy like Alexander Holtz and maybe trade up and also get Lucas Raymond and get both picks, kind of like how Vancouver a long time ago got the Sedin brothers. I'm not saying it's going to be the Sedin. You'd have two Swedes.
So what Joe, you're saying is, what Joe is theorizing here is if it works out where the Coyotes lose in the round robin and also lose the lottery, we would get their first round pick. And if Vancouver gets into the playoffs, and is there a they just have to get in? Is there like a limit of how far they go? I really don't know that.
They have to not only win the play-in round, they have to get into the playoffs. And there's this, and Beer Baron, I hope you didn't erase that little tidbit I sent you from Cap Friendly about the Vancouver Canucks. It should still be in your profile.
It is. Yes, it is.
So you can read that part after that. But what you're
theorizing then is for a team to trade back for 2 picks, and the Devils go up to say like 5 or 4 or 3. So do you think that Detroit or Ottawa would want to move back?
I believe they can, but the thing is, Ottawa with Pierre Dorion was on the 31 Thoughts podcast, and he talked about how high Detroit is looking at Cole Perfetti at possibly going to 4. So you got to think about it this way. But the one thing I worry about Cole Perfetti is his skating. It's a bit above average. It's not the most excellent, but he is still a good agile skater, don't get me wrong, and a really good shot. Today's world is about skating. And we talked about Reed Boucher on Wednesday, and guess what? He never really was a really good skater. So you got to be careful when you're drafting for skaters nowadays. So what does that mean to me when I'm drafting? Okay, Lafreniere, of course, is going to go to first overall. Maybe Stützle or Byfield. But I see Byfield going to the Kings as one of the draft sites does, because they're going to need a big physical guy at center, and they need someone to replace Andrzej Kopitar, the Slovenian, who broke our hearts. So
I don't want to talk about that, Joe.
I'm just saying they're going to lose a special player. But Stützle is he's like the German version. Like, he thinks like Patrick Kane, but he's going to be his own type of creative winger center on the left wing. So if the Devils do somehow magically trade up at 3rd and you're getting Stützle, hello, jawohl. You got a really good playmaker.
But Joe, let me ask you, what do they have to give up? What do they have to do to get to move up in the draft? You're saying, like, not to say that it is easy or not easy or whatever. What do they have to do if they're going to want to move up in the draft? What do they have to give up?
Okay, so in this case, if you're looking at Ottawa, you're probably going to have to give them another defenseman. And if we are going to hold on or trade this defenseman, I'm not sure if you want to trade Ty Smith, but Smith, to me, is someone, if his stock is very high and Dorian likes him and they give you a number 3 and they give you another really good high-end player in return, okay, that's good, because you have Kevin Ball, you have Nikita Okhotyuk, you have Daniel Missoul in the pipeline. Those are big left-handed defensemen who can come over. So you have these recent draft picks that you can use in the pipeline to kind of make moves with the assets you already have.
See, I'm gun shy to trade Ty Smith, though. I mean, in my opinion, what he's been able to do in the last 2 years, I know it's not the NHL, right? It doesn't automatically translate. You could have monster numbers in the OHL, you could have monster numbers in hell, even the AHL, and then you get into the NHL and you can't do it. So his upside, it scares me to trade somebody like that away, especially a defenseman.
Right. For you, that'd be like trading away Michael McLeod to be in a package, let's say getting the number 5 pick for Jamie Drysdale. So what would you think about that if that was in a package deal?
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we all
I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid.
I know. I was just trying to see where your feelings were, because you know how we all were when we got a certain player now shall not be named. But anyways, I want to talk about why the Swedes are usually valued between the Detroit Red Wings. You look at Raymond, he's got a really good shot. He's really sneaky. He's a younger 18-year-old versus, let's say, Lafreniere or Stützle. Byfield also is a younger 18. So there's another year of like developing and fitting into that ceiling. So you have a couple 1 tiers and a couple of 2 tiers looking at that. But Drysdale is the exception of the defenseman in this draft. No way in hell I'm picking Sanderson at 10. I'm not comfortable with two-way defenseman. I'd rather have Anton Lundell or Jack Quinn. Lundell at 10 for me. Two-way player, very smart. Like, he's the left-handed version of Travis Zajac, but with more fluidity. Him being 6'1", he's young. He's a few months younger than Kaapo Kakko. And the Devils have had really good scouts in Finland for the past few seasons, the past few drafts. So think about that for a second. If you've seen a kid 16 all the way to 17, almost 18, you're probably sold on that kid by that time you get to the June draft or whenever this draft's going to be.
Right.
All
right, Jersey Joe, we're gonna actually we're gonna go take some other callers actually right now too. We want to get some other people on here to get their opinions. Let's see what other people think about this, about maybe moving up in the draft, trading up, or going with the 3 picks instead. But thank you, Jersey Joe, from down there in Ocean Grove. All right,
Jersey Joe's the man. Just saying.
All right, so we'll get Sam. We'll get some other Zoomers up on the call. I know we got people waiting in the old Facebook page to hop on here before we run out of time because we're getting pretty close here. But all right,
Holy
so that
crap.
was
it's already 9:53. When the hell?
Yeah.
When the hell that happened?
So that was interesting. For me personally, I don't see trading up. I can't imagine why Ottawa would want to move anywhere but forward. I can't see them. Same thing with Detroit. I don't know. I don't know why they would want to move backwards when they can get stud players right there at the positions they're in. I can only see them moving forwards in the draft. So I don't know. Maybe we can pull a deal where someone does. Who's got the who's the 5th pick? Oh no, that's Ottawa. Yeah, Ottawa. And then Detroit is 4, Ottawa again, and then LA. Man, who am I missing? Who's at 6?
Buffalo. No, Buffalo is
Buffalo is 8.
Buffalo go to 8. Buffalo went to 8. We went to
who
7.
Am I missing?
Who am I missing? Damn it.
Somebody.
Somebody. Some team. Sam, come on, save us.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was just queuing up the caller. You guys say anything interesting?
No, we were just trying to remember who's the number 6 pick. We forgot because we're dumb. Anaheim. There we go. All right.
We should have. We should have asked. We should have asked the next Zoom caller. Again, second-time caller, long-time listener. Found us on YouTube. A New York Rangers fan that loves the Let's Go Devils podcast. We have Jalen from Manhattan. How are you, Jalen?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's on your mind? What's on your mind, Jalen? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. What's up, Jalen? What's on your mind tonight?
A little bit more.
You can hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
There we go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cool. No, I seen that you guys are going to talk about, 1995.
Yes.
What was your experience?
So 95, God, 95. The thing that sticks out in my mind the most is, first of all, every Rangers fan trying to put an asterisk on that Stanley Cup victory and saying basically it didn't count. But the thing that I remember the most because I was, it's in 1995, I was 13 years old, right? So that's when you really, as a kid, like, in my opinion, that's like when you really start to put your roots in the ground of like who you're rooting for, and you really start to like come up with your identity on your own. Because I grew up a diehard Yankees fan, but I had no choice. Like, my dad was a Yankees fan through and through, and it was like some people have a picture of Jesus on their wall. I had like a picture of Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio on my wall. So you had no choice. But then, like, as I got a little bit older, my brother introduced me to hockey and like really got me into hockey when I was really little. And then, like, when I became older, it was like, this is it. This is my team. This is what I want to live and die with, right? So 94 broke my heart. That was the first year that I can remember, like, actually being super upset of watching your team lose. Being a Giants fan, I remember 86 vaguely because I was 4. So 94 crushed me. I remember being super bummed. And then, like, 95, it was like when the Devils made it into the Stanley Cup Finals, I watched every single game that season more intently, I think, because we lost to the Rangers in 94. And I think because we lost to you guys in 94, it made me an even bigger Devils fan in 95. So, like, I didn't just watch, like, a game here and there. I watched every single game that season like it was my job. And then I remember going through the playoffs, watching all the playoffs happen, going into the Stanley Cup Finals. My brother and I made this huge banner that we hung in front of our house. We wrote the Dead Wings on it. And everybody in the news is picking the Devils to get swept by the Red Wings. And it was like when we swept and when it went the other way, it was like insane. And that was like the first championship that I really remember. You know what I mean? Like 91 Giants won their second Super Bowl. I was old enough to get it. I remember Norwood missing that kick. I was like, oh man, the Giants won. This is cool. But you're a kid. You don't really know what the hell is going on. That was the first championship as a fan of any sport that will always forever stick with me. Sorry, that was a long story.
But... about you, Sam?
Oh, man.
Me, 94 was tough. I was very mad after that, and the prospects in the media suggesting that the Devils would be moving to Nashville the next year. It was like now or never kind of mentality going into the playoffs. Just, they started off the season okay, in a lockout shortened season, but they went on a tear and then just kind of limped into the playoffs the last week. I think they had the 6th overall spot, and they did everything on the road, if you remember correctly. They did it all on the road. And that's the trap and the left wing lock, which Detroit was, employing from the great Scotty Bowman. It really felt like Devils fans against the world at that point. And what's really sad was at the time we thought that McMullen was, Mr. Moneyman, going for where the riches are. He's going to take our team away from us. But in reality, he was the one that brought the team to New Jersey, and he didn't really get to celebrate and he didn't really get to celebrate 95 during the parade at the Meadowlands. And, you know, it was kind of sad, but in 2000, it was redemption. It was like all is forgiven, Dr. McMullen, because he was a villain at that moment. Because, you know, if you remember, Devils fans remember, Chris Strary held up a sign, Nashville, ? No way. And that was the sentiment. But years later, actually, Bruce Driver kind of alluded to on the podcast that McMullen knew that they were staying in Jersey. It was just using Nashville to get a better lease deal with the Meadowlands. And I think, or it was Danico that said that they had already known. Yeah, Danico. So, what about you, Scotty? What does 95 mean to you?
Oh, 95. I mean, whew, that was a great year. But it was tough in the beginning. You know, if you do remember coming off the loss to the Rangers, which was crushing and heartbreaking. And then you have this lockout, and then the Devils started in the first half of the season. They were under 500. You know, they were underperforming, if I remember. And you know, they acquired Neil Broughton. You know, we said goodbye to, it was Fetisov, and who's the other long Zemek, Alexander Zemek went. Neil Broughton and Sean Chambers came in deals, and they kind of solidified the team a little bit more.
Neil Broughton, in the second half, Olympic hero.
Second half of the season, you know, they went on that run. They got in there, and for me, one of my all-time favorite players when I was growing up was Randy McKay. And in the first round, because we were actually fifth seed, so we had to play Boston, who was fourth in the first round of the playoffs. And game, was it 4 or 5? It was a 0-0 overtime game. Yeah, Randy McKay scored, and he like tried to climb up the glass and just looked out to the crowd. And I just remember as a kid, that was one of like my all-time, you know, favorite moments as a Devils fan, because that was one of my all-time favorite players. And of course, he turned into Randy the Rocket after a while, but you know, he was more known, him and Peluso and Bobby Holik, they were more known as the Crash Line, to go out there and bang and, you know, get into fights and stuff like that. So to see him score that big of a goal and to see that reaction on his face for someone who's been grinding for such a long time, that's one of my favorite moments of the 95 team.
Now, Jalen, before we let you go, what you want to say something?
Yeah,
Scotty?
you haven't said anything, Jalen. You're interviewing us all of a sudden. You're supposed to be the one talking here. Yeah, like
wait.
Well, I was going to ask him a question. If you want,
no, I was going to say I have a good question. I have a good question for Jalen. So obviously you're in New York. You grew up in New York. What made you become a Ranger fan? Like, if you really think about it, it doesn't really matter where we grow up, right? Like, yeah, we're influenced by where we are. We're influenced by family, but you could root for any team you really want to. And especially once, like I said before, you start getting older and you're like, man, you know what? I want to become, I don't know, a Montreal Canadiens fan because I like the way their jersey looks. So what really pulled you to the Rangers? What was the appeal to that team?
I think it was watching all the games and, you know, seeing the excitement, you know, and of course family members too. But I think I just really got attached to the team, and it just kind of really stuck with me, you know.
Who'd you used to watch games with your family? I used to watch with my grandfather all the time.
My grandpa. Yeah, I used to watch with my grandpa.
Grandpa, yeah, man.
It's funny.
My grandfather was.
My parents live in Newark.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
so,
all right.
There you go.
When the production first was built, I was there.
That's
so
awesome.
This team
you were there on opening night?
No, unfortunately, I was there when they were building it.
Oh, okay, I got you. Cool, that's cool.
There. You know, so this team. The Devils, they're my second favorite team. So
Don't tell your Ranger fans, friends that. Oh, well, Jalen, thank you for calling in again. What's that?
I like your shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
Eastern Conference champions.
Even though that was tough.
It was tough for you, but that was one of the greatest plays ever.
The Rangers had their problems with LA too. Whew, those LA teams there in those late aughts, man, or the early that was 2012. When did the Rangers lose them? 2014,
2012 and 2014. Yeah,
20. Yeah, woo! Those Kings teams, man, they were built for the playoffs. They would just steamroll people once they get, much like the Blues last year. Yeah,
big bruising teams, but I want to point out two similarities between the Devils' run against the Kings and then the Rangers' run against the Kings. Both of those series were turned on, like in a Devils series, if the Devils win that game where Anze Kopitar has that breakaway goal, that series is completely different. Completely different. Because they showed, like they went down 3-0 in that series, and then the next two games they won, and they won handily. And it felt like the complete momentum was shifted. And that, game 6, it felt like the momentum was shifted until that horrible, god-awful, we want LA to win the Stanley Cup call where they gave Bernier the 5-minute major. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in any Stanley Cup final game ever. But irregardless, whatever. But our series was very similar to yours, because you could have changed one or two things that happened in the series against the Rangers that would have definitely changed it in your favor too. So it wasn't like the Kings showed their dominance where they were like, just completely crushed the Devils and the Rangers when they won the Cup. It was just the cards fell the way they fell, and that was it. That was a heartbreaker, man. That was a heartbreaker. I was like, 2012, we're going to win one more Cup. Marty's going to retire after this year. I thought that was it.
We both went through it.
Yeah, and we can now both hate the Kings.
Yeah. Hey, Jalen, well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate that. And, we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully, you'll get to enjoy a little bit more of that regular season. But, thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks.
All right, rock and roll.
That is Jalen from Manhattan. You know what, Beer Baron, your question was better than mine. I was going to close them out. So tell us what 95 meant to you, Jalen.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think.
Do we have anyone else that wants to jump on, or is there?
I'm going to go check. I got to check the console.
We got time for one more, I think, right? One more Zoomer. If you're out there, Zoom world, we may have time for one more Zoom here.
Whoops.
Oh, look, it's Sam Wu.
Whoa, hey, it's Sam Wu, just in person.
He wants the attention on him. That's what he wants. He wants all the attention. He forgot to
put the live thing on the bottom screen.
Live.
People don't realize we're not just live. We are live.
Live.
I mean, maybe a 3-second delay, but
yeah. You know what? We were hoping to show some videos from the 95 team, but with the old Zoom we have up here, it gets a little dicey, a little tricky. We're still trying to figure everything out on the tech side of things. But I was looking at these videos, and Jalen brought up a good point. Just remembering watching some of these games. I remember watching with my grandfather. The one video, I think, the Randy McKay video that I was watching earlier of that goal. You see the Sports Channel logo come up on there. And I remember, the Sports Channel. Like that's when the Mets moved off of Channel 9, and then the Devils went there too. And you had to have that black box, that cable box to watch the Devils games. So my grandfather used to have it. And I remember going over his house, watch those games. And then, my pops, me, and my grandfather, we used to go to, we had seats right up behind, well, originally it was Terreri, but then it turned into Marty. I used to sit in the upper deck at the Continental. We would do one of those 12 game a season pack deals.
Oh, and, I remember those. Oh, yeah,
dude. Yeah.
You know what's funny? As soon as you say that, the 12-pack deal, you know what comes into my mind is when Terreri went from the Devils to the San Jose Sharks. And the first year he was a Shark, we did a 12-pack deal. And I'll never forget.
You knew those Western Conference teams were in that 12-pack too.
Yes, and going to the first game, the first game that Terreri came back to play the Devils, and he beat us. And I'll never forget that. For whatever reason, that 12-pack will always stick out in my mind of being like the Chris Terreri San Jose Shark reunion. But
Short Sky shed a tear that day. You knew that.
Yeah, exactly.
He was so happy, but mad at the same time.
So happy and devastated at the same time. Yeah. Oh, Sam's back. Hey, Sam.
Uh-oh. Do we have another Zoomer call?
Yeah, we've got a couple Zoomers lined up in the queue.
We got a Zoom party. We got a party. Is there a Zoom party?
Yeah, it's a Zoom party. Yeah. We got a lot of things going on. So our next caller hails from Berkeley Heights. Also has one of my favorite restaurants is in Berkeley Heights, Delicious Heights in Berkeley Heights. And
I used to work in Berkeley Heights at Trap Rock. That place is amazing.
Please welcome to the podcast, Matt.
What's up, Matt?
Matt,
what's going on, guys? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Matt.
Another day in paradise, just trying to stay healthy like everybody else. And I hope all you guys are healthy and your families are healthy. We're still fighting this COVID, unfortunately. And, we just got to take it one day at a time and hopefully get back to hockey soon.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
Right.
I feel the same way and the same right back at you, brother. I mean, it's just, we'll get through all this. One day we'll look back in a couple of years and we'll be like, damn, you remember that? We had to wear a mask when we went to the store. We had to wipe it with bleach. What the hell was happening? Cats and dogs living with each other, mass hysteria.
Hey, Matt, we've been talking about the draft and the 95 team. Do you got any thoughts on the draft or maybe some memories about the 95 team?
So 95, I was actually only 3 years old, so I don't really remember it that well.
Just a baby.
Okay.
He's just a baby.
All right, just a baby.
Yeah,
just a little baby.
But I got very fond memories of 2000 and 2003. I was there in 2003.
Okay.
I remember
what game in 2003?
Building. Yeah, the building was just totally insane. I remember the whole upper tier just rocking up and down, and it was just nonstop, so much fun. And you just had a real good feeling that night, coming into that game. Yeah, I was a little nervous, but at the same time, it's Brodeur, he has a bad game, but what does he do the next game? He comes out and just has a great night,
Mm-hmm. Hey, Matt, you know what? Since we're talking about 95, I mean, the Devils used to play at the old Continental back then, and I know they were there in 03 as well before we moved. What's your favorite thing from, do you remember going to Continental back in the day?
Oh, man. I got one. I'll tell you after Matt goes.
Can you let Matt answer here?
I'm just saying. You got me excited.
Let our guest talk here. Jeez, this guy. Sorry, Matt. He's very rude. He's very, very rude.
I'm excited.
So I know it sounds really corny and really, typical, but what I really miss about Continental is that old goal horn that we used to have. I don't know what it is. That goal horn has always lived in my memory growing up, always having a good childhood. The Devils always on top, and that goal horn will just always have a special memory in my heart. And I still play it every now and then, and it drives my fiance absolutely nuts when I blast it in the apartment.
Good man. Listen, Matt, you know what though? I don't know if you remember this, but my favorite thing, I anytime I think about Continental, is that walk across the bridge going to the stadium, and before a game or after a game, just banging on that wall and just everybody getting so jacked up, and the craziness that would happen in that bridge going to a game. And I'll never forget in 2003 going to game 2 where Marty pitched a shutout, should have won the Conn Smythe, but whatever. pitched a shutout. I remember standing in the parking lot. This is one of the things I missed the most is everybody chilling out in the parking lot, tailgating before the game, drinking beers or waters or whatever you want to drink, but like hanging out, having a great time, playing hockey. Like we used to play like pick 'em up games in the middle of the parking lot right before going in to watch a game was the best.
Yes, absolutely. I do remember that as a child growing up. I mean, obviously, I wasn't drinking beer at that time.
What? Gatorade.
I do remember, the walkway and banging on the glass. And also, side topic, growing up being a Yankee fan, too, when you're going from the old Yankee Stadium from the subway, there was also a similar you bang on the glass like there at that time, too. Yep. So it's cool. It's like those two connections, because I've always been affiliated with hockey and baseball, and growing up with the Yankees and the Devils, winning was always a big thing. And just, I do remember banging on the walkway glass
banging on
all
that
the time.
steel, corrugated steel, as you're walking through, and just all the crap that was like written on the walls and like the horrible things, and be like, what does that say? And your dad would be like, just don't pay attention to that. But yeah, dude, like those are the things I miss. I love the Rock, and I love the atmosphere that the Rock brings, and like being able to take the train there is amazing. But there's a small things that you miss about Continental. I don't miss being in traffic. That's for damn sure. But the before game rituals, and even the mass like exit of the Continental Airlines Arena, it was like I felt like you all had to wait at the door, and then like the doors would just burst, and then everybody would pour out of the doors all at the same time. So I don't know. Those are the things I definitely miss. But Matt, dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I got a little funny thing right here. This Devil's tattoo right here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
That's me.
What's that? Who did that? My wife did that one?
Yeah.
Hey, wait, hold on.
When I turned 18 10 years ago, she gave that to me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Wow, very cool.
Hell yeah.
Very nice. Cool.
See, I knew who Matt was.
Well, Matt, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. Big horns up, and let's go Devils. Woo! All right. I like that tattoo.
Oh yes.
Hell yeah.
You know what I don't know what made me think of Continental, my favorite thing. I don't know why, but do you remember when they had that prime rib station? Like the prime rib sandwiches?
I 100% do. I 100% do, yeah.
That was at The Rock. That was at The Rock. That was Hoagie's Deli.
No.
That was that Continental.
And that was those two ladies
at The Rock. Oh, right.
Yeah, it was those two ladies that would serve. And they loved us. They're the only employees that actually loved us. And you slip them, some tips and all that. And suddenly those sandwiches got bigger each time, each game, as the season goes along. But let's take one more Zoom caller. I'll be back.
Okay, I'll say that I share the memory with Doc Emmerich, and that I really love and miss the perfectly stale bucket of popcorn that they used to serve at the Continental Airlines Arena. It was so like pre-buttered and salty, but it was delicious. I remember like at times when like the game would end and we would leave, and I would just like keep the bucket of popcorn with me and just like walk out and just be like, blah, 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 like over like the over the boardwalk bridge and everything like that, going back to the cars, just like
it was the same consistency of like packing peanuts. You know what I mean? Like
that
same like. It's like you're like, I'm not sure if this is really edible or if it's going to eat a lining out of my stomach. But yeah, dude, like there's so many little things. Like Continental, like the Continental went away like right when I was in the in the prime of my like being able to drive the games kind of thing, right? So like you would appreciate it if you were going to the game, you're hanging out with your buddies. I was at the very last game. And I'll never forget, I was at the very last game of Continental Airlines Arena, and I took a picture of me and my buddies. It was a couple of the guys, who but we're standing out in front of the steps of, I think, Gate C, and we're standing there, And I was just like, damn, I can't believe this building is gone. Although I was so excited for the Rock to be built, because one of the coolest things I love about the Prudential Center is the fact that you can take the train there. And that was like the biggest game changer, because like not having to drive all the way into the middle of the Meadowlands, and then like as much fun as you would have, it was a nightmare to get out of there. We would sit in the back of the truck, or like, you'd hang out for an hour or two after the game would end, just because you wanted people to like drive away. And God forbid you had somebody like leave a hibachi on fire next to your car, like while you're inside.
Oh yeah,
you almost end up like a State Farm commercial. But
I would always make my dad and my grandfather wait to the very end of the game. The Devils could be winning like 7-2, or they could be losing 7-2. I would make them wait.
Oh, you do that regardless.
That final horn, I would make them wait. They'd be like, "Come on, let's beat the traffic." I'm like, nope, gotta wait.
Nope.
Never know.
The same
one time we leave, it will be an epic comeback, and I'll miss it. I'll
Something
still
will
remember
happen.
that damn Flyers game that got snowed and we didn't go, and the Devils won like 6-5, and there was like 8 fights in the game, and it was like crazy awesome. I was like, "See, Dad, we should have won. I'm driving in that snow."
Yeah, dude. I always say that you never want to give up on a game, and it could be bad or good. And I've seen some crazy epic comebacks, and I've seen some horrible collapses. But my thought process is like, hey, yeah, nothing like the beginning game where we're like, yo, 4-0. I remember the last. You see Coleman score that goal, basically sitting on his back like Ovechkin. He scores this crazy goal, and I'm like 4-0. I'm like, yeah, maybe this year's going to be great. And then it was just like, phew. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you eat, like you're like, oh, this meal, all these ribs are so good, and then your stomach does that like, pew. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to take a dump right here in my seat, and I can't even get to the bathroom. That's basically the entire Devil season this past year. Throw a pandemic on top. Sorry.
Hey guys,
all right. I think we got one more. We're going to take one last caller.
Yeah, one last caller. Calling through Zoom. Second time caller, long time listener. We got Matt Jr. from Edison, New Jersey.
What's up, Matt?
Hey, we got Matt. What's going on?
Where are you right now? Where are you right now?
I'm back home in Edison, New Jersey. I just came back from my girlfriend's house a few hours ago.
Oh,
hey,
tell her we said happy birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Nice.
I think she's still watching the podcast right now. So she's doing fine. We had some cake before leaving. I had to beat the short traffic on the way back home. But she had a great day, and I think
during a pandemic.
Wait, what?
I said I can't believe there's short traffic during a pandemic, but
I know, but it wasn't really that bad. It was actually bad when I was around exit 130 or 129. That's where my exit is. It's Metro Park, and I live right in Edison. Route 131A is my exit.
Okay. I know that. I know that exit. I know that train stop over there. Been there plenty of times.
I take that station all the time to go to the Prudential Center. It's one. I always take
the Edison or the Metro one. Metro
Park. I live in the northern part. Metro Park is much closer than the southern part of Edison.
Gotcha. Well, Matt, we've been talking draft and 95 team memories here on the show. So, do you got any ideas for the draft coming up, or do you have any thoughts? And how old are you? Were you around for the 95 team?
I was not. I'm 22, so I don't remember. But I was living from 2000 and 2003. I don't remember 2000, but I do remember 2003 when I went to the Stanley Cup party.
Okay.
I remember walking, but I don't remember anything else except for the picture I had with Sergei Brylin.
Hey, cool, man.
Wow, that's a good picture.
So I don't exactly remember the exact moment, but it's in my room. So I'll keep that as a nice little prize.
Well, as
that
you
was
know,
kinda like-
he is one of 5 Devils to win all 3 cups.
Yep, exactly. And he scored one of the most underrated goals in that playoffs, the backhander to beat Vernon. And Doc called great.
Yes, I was watching YouTube clips of all those goals a little bit earlier, and that was that Breland goal in Game 4. You know, I know Broughton got the game winner, but that Breland goal put them up by 2, and that place, the Continental, it just exploded. It exploded when he put that goal, and I think there was maybe, it was in the third period. There might have been 11, 12 minutes left. There was still some time in the game, but you just that Breland goal was the nail in the coffin for the Red Wings, like completely. Like it was over. Done. Like it was finished. And we could say the Scott Stevens hit was actually that too. But either way.
That might have been an exclamation point.
Either way, though, but when Breland scored that goal, that putting them up by 2, it was just like start the party. You know, there's no way the Devils playing that trap, that defensive style, there was no way they were going to give up those 2 goals like that in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
The crazy thing was that I was looking at comments, and I actually saw the highlights. Before that goal, Coffey missed the net, or something happened with that puck when he shot the puck. So if that puck went in, it might have been a game changer. So history would have been made if
that's exactly what we were talking about, in respect to the 2012 Stanley Cup Finals when Ansi Kopitar goes on that breakaway. If Marty makes that save, that could have been a complete game changer because that could have swung the momentum in Devils' favor. They could have found a way to get past Jonathan Quick, and then all of a sudden they're up 1-0 in the series, and the entire series goes a completely different direction. And it's weird because that's the beautiful thing about sports is it's one microcosm of a second that can change everything. And hockey is the greatest example of that because there's other sports like baseball, things could happen, but it's more of you can kind of see it coming or there's more of a build up to it, right? Bottom of the ninth, 2 out, blah, blah, blah. Football, same thing. Like football, there has to be a build up to it where there's like this build up to the second of maybe there's a Hail Mary or something that happens in the last minute of play. And basketball too, basketball, it takes 30 years to play the last 30 seconds of a basketball game. So there's 1,000 things could happen. But the one thing that's beautiful about hockey, and the one thing that I will always say to anybody that is not a hockey fan, is it takes one fraction of a second for the game to completely flip on its head. And you could have a goaltender who's been holding down an entire series and just shutting the door. And it takes a lucky bounce off of a defenseman's shin pad that can change the entire outlook of a game. And if you don't think so, go look at Game 7 of the 2003 Eastern Conference Finals when Jamie Langenbrunner scored that first goal. Because if you watch the replay, I don't know if he meant to do it, but he banked it off of a defenseman's skate and put it in. But at that point, the Devils didn't feel like they could break through, and they were getting chance after chance after chance. And it took that one play to make everything happen. And so I know I'm speaking to the choir, but that's why I love hockey. It's like that one little thing can change, and it changes everything about a series. But sorry, Matt, I just totally went off on a complete tangent. But
Matt, before we let you go, Matt Freudenberger wants you to do one thing before we let you go. He says, yell in your house, I love the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Oh, cool. Okay, fine, Matt. Well, my sister went to sleep. My mom room, so I don't think they're going to hear me, but I'll do it.
Yeah, Matt.
1, 2, 3. I love the Let's Go Devils podcast.
There you go,
Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, so now go stream that in your sister's room real quick. Don't let her know.
No, don't do that. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't get yourself in trouble.
Thanks, Matt.
Hey,
That's
thank
Matt
you, Matt.
Junio from Edison, New Jersey, showing his Let's Go Devils podcast pride. screaming that out loud. I mean, that takes some balls and some courage to do something like that. I mean, he's in his own house.
He's got to get the night vision camera. He's got to get the night vision camera, and then like Bam used to do on Jackass, for his parents, like scaring the hell out of them. Like we need to have that Matt scaring his sister like that, and we'll just we'll play it here on the old Let's Go Devils podcast.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we might be a Devils podcast, but I have to give a shout out to two people that are not Devils fans that still religiously watch our podcast. To my friend Kevin and my friend Lisa, thank you for watching us. You might root for that horrible team across the river, but you're good people, so thank you for watching. And that goes for everybody. This is one of my favorite times of the week, of kind of like escaping reality. And thank you guys for joining us to do that. So,
I want to use this graphic.
Whoa!
We didn't use it.
Way to change subjects real quick.
Yeah, we didn't use it. All podcasts.
Thank you, fans.
And I hope none of these teams get the first overall pick.
Thanks, fans. Actually, put that back up real quick, Sam. Can we put that back up real quick?
Yep.
Let's look at this. All right, so we want. Let's go Nashville. Let's go Nashville. Sorry, Zach Parise, but we gotta root for Minnesota losing there.
What are you saying? Sorry to Zach Parise. He can go cram it.
Whatever. I'm over it. I don't care. I'm done.
No.
And I don't want to see.
Nobody cares about that anymore.
Man, I really don't want to see Edmonton, get. I mean, I'd love to see Chicago win, but I don't want to see Edmonton get a chance at that top seed. Same thing over there in the East. I would love to see the Canadians upset the Pens, but I don't want the Pens to have a number one shot. The Islanders, man, if the Islanders lose, they should not be a team. And Carolina too, if the Rangers happen to upset them, these are all teams that should not have any chance. Wait,
that is the funniest thing you've ever said in your entire career in this podcast is if the Islanders lose, they shouldn't be a team.
Well, I meant, yeah. Well, I kind of cut myself off. They shouldn't be a team.
Every Panther fan's like, but we're a team.
No. They shouldn't be a team in contention for contention for that lottery. It's just dumb. But whatever. Let's go, Preds.
We lamented it not in the beginning. You know who I think I want to see the Penguins beat the Canadians, because I would love to see the Canadians get that first overall pick. I don't know why, but I feel like this kid he belongs in Montreal, and I am one of those people that feels like the fact that Austin Matthews is in Toronto is a great thing. Montreal needs a big time star. I think it would be great for the sport to have, even though it's this. By the way,
everyone in Ottawa is like, "Hey, Canadian team over here had two chances there."
And everybody would look at them and be like, "Somebody put that dumpster fire out already. It smells horrible. It's just." All right, I'm kidding, Ottawa. I'm kidding. But honestly, in the reality of this, they did a lot, right? But in the reality of the sport, to have him land in Montreal would probably be the best thing to happen to the sport. So I'm just saying, go Pittsburgh. Ugh, can't believe I just said that, but
whatever.
Lafreniere. Who cares?
Botched.
Whatever his name is.
Botched.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in. You could find our podcast. And zooming in, and you can find our podcast after this live podcast, because we do everything live, not fake live.
Nope.
10:33
on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart,
7:33
app, Spotify. Till next time, let's go Devils.